Greetings, good people. Welcome to another edition of PR Lunch Hour with Tanya and Tam. How you doing out there today?
I'm good. How are you? I'm okay.
I don't know if she was expecting that, but
I
listen,
wasn't. I wasn't. Per usual, but it's fine. I roll with it.
TGIF, it's spring. The last time I saw you, it wasn't yet, and now it's spring. We get to have an amazing guest on the show today and talk to the good people. But before I bring them on, what's new with you?
What is new with me? Today I'm like at a loss for word. Good news. I don't know if did I say this last time? My newsletter was featured on Kit. So
No,
I mean,
not.
I did not. Okay, cool. My bad. I'm actually late because it's been featured since my birthday, but that's a huge win. And I'm really excited about that because I just, pivoted my newsletter like in December. So
Look at you. I'm proud
yay.
of you. I'm very
Thank you.
proud of you, by the way. Um, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest because I think wins is what we all need right now. I think we need all the wins we can get. So today, just want to let you good people know we are honored to be joined by a true powerhouse in the world of strategic communications, Miss Jennifer McGinley. She is the CEO of JLM Strategic Communications. She's the leading expert in medical and crisis communications. This is very important in this moment, and we're definitely going to get into that. But she has a mission, and it's to build trust, credibility, and visibility for organizations when the stakes are at its highest. In an era where misinformation runs rampant, we need voices that are telling the truth, and her voice is not just important, it's essential. So get ready for a masterclass in integrity driven PR with our amazing Jennifer McGinley. Hello, ma'am.
Hi, you guys. You're just as incredible. And I'm honored to be here. And grateful to know both of you.
Gosh, listen, I want to get right into wins because, Jen, in this world where misinformation is running rampant, I like to hear what's going right. Let the people know what's going well and what's working for you these days, personally and professionally, because we live vicariously through one another through our wins. So please share.
No, and I love that that's how I first met you both was on a Friday and going around in a circle virtually. Actually, it was just audio at the time. And for me personally, I love my job. I'm really, really grateful for the work I get to do with amazing, health systems, academic health systems. But traveling with my family and spending time, and now it's spring. And I also got a really good targeted media placement for a client yesterday. That's really important on legislative being passed in New Jersey, hopefully being passed in New Jersey. So that's my win.
That's a win. Now,
Yeah.
with your clients, because we know we're in changing times. What
Right.
is your client base looking like these days? Is it ebbing and flowing like everyone else is, or have you remained steady? Because I'm asking because the work that you do is so integral. It would seem that everyone would need to hold on to a Jennifer in their life.
Yeah. I mean, I do think, and I think especially with 5 years ago, the need for really good strategic communicators is more important, more powerful than ever. And that is what I help my clients do. So I have stayed within my own lane of healthcare because I love it and I know it. And that's where I can provide value to my clients.
So, what is that? What is your lane of expertise, and why do people come to you?
Because I've been working in academic healthcare or medicine for over 30 years, and more specifically mental health, which also has taken a really good trajectory in terms of destigmatization and increased knowledge that all of us have mental health, whether or not we're in a good space or not such a great space. That is left up for debate. So I think the more knowledge and understanding and respect and compassion we have for health and mental health overall, it really behooves all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's on your mind, Tam?
I was actually going to dive into a really deep question right away.
Uh-oh.
Let's go.
you know, um, and that is, I think, the biggest question I have is what crises are your clients or institutions in the healthcare industry facing right now that you're seeing? I mean, we know holistically what they kind of face, but what specifically is coming up in this season?
I would say with everything going on in the news, it's really minute by minute. I'm sure during this call, I mean, during this program today, other things will be dropping this afternoon. But I think the changes in funding for research, I think respect for healthcare, science overall is changing. I think our healthcare and the way it's delivered is constantly changing. But through all of this, it means we need to stay informed, be aware, communicate with each other, help each other. I know the biggest thing is creating community wherever you are and whatever you do. I don't care what field you're in. I think just constant support is really important. We've been through crises before, so much has happened in the past 5 years, and prior to that, and especially me and my career. I tend to really do well in crises because I think it, as my daughter would say, you lock in. I lock in, and I was actually speaking with my husband, who has been in medicine for over 30 years as well, as emergency medicine, and it's all about focusing on the most immediate needs you have. So even though I think as PR practitioners, we're really good at juggling a lot, and I'm great in a crisis, I can get a lot done, work with speed and efficiency, but it's really taking one step in front of the other to increase our communication to all the audiences that we have to. And not to get off on a tangent, but, I think, we just have to take it as it comes. And I think that's what PR practitioners are really good at. We're used to the blank hitting the fan, and we know what to do. We can handle it. And you just kind of keep moving forward. But open line of communication, clearly defined roles, what are the protocols? And that's all based on trust, right? Trust, transparency, clear communication.
Yep.
I can talk about that ad nauseum, but it really is. And and that's what I know, Tanya, you and your group were talking about yesterday, is all based on trust. How is your community, regardless of what type of community it is, how are they going to react to news or a change, within your community if they don't trust you?
Yep.
That's all about good leadership.
Listen, I wanted to ask you. It's a hot button or hot topic these days when we talk about immunizations, right? It keeps coming up: vaccines and immunizations.
Yeah.
So from Tuskegee to today's vaccine debates, medical mistrust in our communities run deep. How can communications help rebuild those bridges without gaslighting past traumas? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that is a lot of deep-seated knowledge. And what I saw during COVID, and I was reading a lot, there was one article in the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal that was really interesting. It was about a nurse raised in maybe West Virginia, and the way she was raised from childhood really helped to instill the way she felt about something or her fears about something. And I think having compassion and respect for where someone is and where they've been and that backstory is really the starting point. In fact, there's an amazing Hopkins doc that I connected with during COVID, and he's just amazing. He would be able to educate someone on the importance of vaccinations by having a one-on-one conversation distilling information so that they could understand it, but also taking away the myths and calming their fears. And I think meeting people where they are, and I know that's such a catchphrase today, but I think it's that, changing the dialogue and turning the table, that we really have to put ourselves in other people's shoes, because we can put a wall up and we can disagree or argue with somebody because we have our own opinion, which opinion is not fact. Opinion is not fact. You know what I mean? And if you believe something to be true, it is. And that is hard. And there's a book by Adam Grant I'm obsessed with called Think Again. And it's really all about changing your perspective and seeing things from a different way, that the way we were raised, if we don't evolve as a society, and if we don't evolve as a human being, we're going to stay stuck in our ways. And I know that's the biggest failure for businesses, when they say, but this is the way we've always done it. And we have to change. We have to move. And I think that's the great thing about working with people. I think I'm obviously older than both of you. I'll be 57 in June. And so I have to look to you guys and to my own children to learn things. I can't stay stuck in the way I've always done something. That's really closed-minded, and that's ignorant on my part. I think I will take my wisdom, what I've learned along the way, and kind of intertwine that so that it becomes a little bit more, a lot more character to it. And I think it helps. I think when we all work together and take all of the neat things that we've learned and share information, that is more successful. And so with vaccine hesitancy, it's all about the data. And I think I am sad and frustrated that public health, physicians, the scientific community is not getting the respect that they deserve. And I've always worked with them since 1991, but I need to take a step back and not be holier than thou about it either, because a lot of our decision-based thinking is from our fear and our unknown and our perspective. But I think we shut down when we're fearful about something. And I think when somebody comes forward, like I said, with a little bit of warmth and knowledge and explaining in a very clear way that is using words that are easily digestible, I think you can kind of make movements. But you know what? It's not our job to change minds. It is our job to present information in a way that makes people feel comfortable.
Let me, this is for both of you, because you keep saying this word that I need to push back on.
Okay.
Read. People don't read now. Like, our
Yes.
society is so dummied down. So I guess my question would be, how in the world do we get people more educated and enlightened with the information that we have to make things better for their quality of life, when they've become so complacent and attention deficit,
Yeah.
and everybody's afraid to open a book or read a whole article beyond the headline? Like, what are we to do here?
Tamara, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, it's a loaded question.
I mean, let's keep it real. You just broke down a lot of different ways that we are going to have to get information to people, break stigmas, re-educate, elevate people's knowledge about things that are important to them and their families from a medical perspective, but ain't nobody reading. So
Yeah.
what are we to do as PR professionals? How are we supposed to get the media to convey correct messages? Half of them don't even read. If they're copying and pasting, if anything, they're not fact checking. They're getting information from places that are not validating anything. And then we are left to rebuke untruth, faux truth, and fake news.
Yeah. It's what you're alluding to and what you're, well, not alluding to, what you're saying, because you said mostly real, is like really this is a big burden. And when we're talking specifically about healthcare, this is really something to double tap on what Jennifer said earlier. We have to almost go back to the basics of outreach. Like when we're reaching out to a journalist, like how do we tackle that? We have to bring that to what we're doing when we are in this new, I'm not going to say media, it's just a news landscape. And how do we get people to actually listen, to go beyond reading? I call it tapping into all the different distribution channels that we have. So I do think we have to get offline a lot more. So, a lot of times with PR, especially in recent years, we've gotten very like digital everything this, and we have to keep it. But I do think we have to get offline. We have to get into community outreach. We have to get into one-on-one conversations. We have to get into almost like taking the town hall effect that's happening right now. Is like we have to go back to that.
Yes.
At the same time, again, doubling down on something Jennifer said, we have to get very simple.
Yeah.
Like I use this tool called character count tool that, I love my big words and like love that I had my education. But at the same time, when you use certain words, like it just goes over people's heads. And like my husband would say, like, okay, can you just give me the short version? What is it? What do you mean? And I don't like, even in a relationship, I don't discount him for saying that. I'm just like, okay, let me figure out a different way to get my point across that he's going to be like better receive it. Some of that does include knowing where they're coming from. If you go at someone in attack mode, I mean, even me, I will not react well to that personally. If you're not understanding, like I'm not the person to come at. Just not me. I do not. It's like a cage feeling. Okay, nope. Exit stage left. But if we talk to people and say like, hey, I acknowledge where you're coming from. Here's my experience. Here's a story. Here's something to like personalize and humanize it. That actually gets through to people a lot better. So I will also pass the baton to Jennifer to continue there.
Well, perfect transition because it's all about storytelling. It is sharing your experiences that can bridge that gap. And there's an amazing organization called truthincommon.org. You need to look it up. She's an amazing woman that is trying to bring all sides together so we can learn together and find factual information. And she's going to local libraries and doing like community town halls, and she's getting packed rooms because people want to understand how important truth is and where to find it. You know what I mean? I think, and it is trust, but I like the community town hall. And also that's the responsibility of a lot of my jobs have included, which is why my business includes it as well, is community outreach. So that if we're trying, one of my first jobs, it was all about prenatal health care. So we hosted a baby shower for low income women because sometimes they wouldn't get prenatal health care until they wouldn't until they were in the delivery room. So increasing awareness and education of the importance of seeking medical attention along the way in this pregnancy journey for a more successful outcome. And I think, that is the job of clinics and primary care physicians. I know emergency rooms are the place people go to if they don't have health insurance. So that's really hard. I mean, that's going to be changing too with Medicare or Medicaid, depending upon how all things pan out too. So, it's our job is creating the digestible, like somebody, a viewer had said, digestible bites of information so that when a news article is placed, we have already created that narrative. We are providing the data, the stats, the facts, so that nothing is misconstrued. And misinformation, which I learned from Truth in Common too, is, it's a mistake. It wasn't intentional. But disinformation is manipulation. So that is a game changer.
It's truth in common, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Truthincommon.org.
Yes. Deanna. runs the organization. She's amazing.
Deanna, lovely. Yes. So the viewer said, concerning reading, as PR professionals, we can get our experts to provide bite-sized info via video infographics. And many times we're probably going to have to do it because
Yes.
they're too smart. They can't. So the smart people have all the information. We're in charge of how we convey the message to make sure that the public can digest it.
Yeah.
They're not always that good at doing that.
Yeah.
So I guess
Yeah.
that
And
falls on us also.
no, and I mean, I think I know some people say the press release is dead. I don't think it is, because for
I don't
me,
think it
it's just
is.
such a good framework to use to disseminate information. I do everything in bullet points when I pitch a story so that it can be a tease for that journalist, but they need to look at everything quickly. But like the media placement that I got yesterday for our client, I've known him for a few years now, and he reaches out and I respond to him within within 30 minutes max, because I adore his work. He's an amazing journalist and we help each other.
Yeah.
So I know, and he's really focuses on mental health. So I know where he's coming and what his intention is and motivation, so that I trust him with these very sensitive topics within healthcare. And this one in particular was eating disorder. So it's really really fragile. It's really something we need to be careful about and respectful about. I mean, I think human beings, we all have to be careful with one another, but, taking information, like I said, in a press release is so great because I'm controlling that information. I have that power. And sometimes the local newspapers are so understaffed that in years past, press releases have gone in as I wrote them.
Yeah.
And as much as I love when a journalist will come out, do the interview, do the photo, and increase that credibility for my client or increase that story to a feature, if my information is in there and my client or organization is happy because at least we got the information out there, that's a win. And especially when you're in healthcare, if we can provide valid, factual, up-to-date information, it's a win.
And just to let you good people out there know, a press release is for information purposes. It is not a whole dissertation. It is not the whole story. It's bits and pieces, but fact-based. It's not glamorized. It's not exotic. It doesn't have all the things in it. It should have some images. It definitely should have some links, maybe some video. But for those of you that send press releases and be like 3 pages, please stop.
It's too much. Too much.
What?
A
3
page,
pages?
a page and a half max.
Girl,
Yeah.
you include this, and then she went over here and did. Listen, ma'am, nobody's gonna read that. No.
Right.
Well, not just not read that. Back to that whole idea of like disseminating information and like learning how to distribute things. I do think this is again back to basics. Like Jennifer just said this. When we're talking to a journalist, we know how to like again tune into like how do we get them the information. I mean, even down to the structure of the email. Like I'm a bullet point person too, so I get it. What I'm hearing, because three-page press release is crazy. Sorry. A little bit less refined on that. That's a lot. But it's almost like if you're going to do a resume, like think of your press release as a resume. You want to give them the bullet points to help you get in the door. If you send a 3-page resume, the person is, even if it's an ATS system, it's too much and it's hard to understand what your main point is. So I would say that's a good tip. But we really need to get back to the basics of what channels and how do we write for those channels? Like a press release, think resume, get it quickly, share it. If you're on social media, we know it has to be bite-sized. Like if you're writing a 3-page press release, that probably should be a post on your site or a website page. I mean, like
LinkedIn. Go do a whole article on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah.
that too. I mean, you just gotta,
Blog.
it's not the format. It's not like we have to really remember the formats and what they're used for and how to use them strategically. I think that's the
Right.
core of this message here.
Right. Target the information appropriately for each audience.
Yes.
You know.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I want to get a little personal with you, Jen, because I personally love you. But I do want to ask you in this moment with crisis seeming to fall out of the sky every so often. How are you doing and how do you deal with that? Because you have to deal with your client stuff. And I know earlier you did say you're good in crisis, but we need a minute sometimes to ingest not just what's going on, because a lot of what's going on may even affect us personally while we're trying to help our clients do certain things. And you have a very high level of humanity. Like I see your heart on damn near every post you put out. You cannot separate yourself from it as much as you try. I see it. And I know things impact you. So, how are you dealing with your job when your job is crisis, but you personally might be impacted by it?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that's for everybody too. You know, for me, it's getting rest. I love being outside, whether it's hiking or running, getting to the gym, yoga, meditation, um, getting a perspective. I think when you get away from your desk, you can get clarity. I also am very careful who I surround myself with, professionally and personally. Um, I think that's important too. I am on social media way too much. My family makes fun of me for it, but I've always been obsessed with the media and journalism and being in the know. I just feel like I want to know everything right now. And I do have to step away, and I'm going to work on that, especially now because we're in this for the long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, I need to rest and get perspective so that I can have the clarity needed to help my clients. It's really, really important. But I also love and I'm passionate about what I do. I literally emailed my client. I'm like, I know we need more media placements, but the fact that we're intentional, the media placement that was in today had weight, it makes me love my job. I love it. And I love who I work with. I'm just so grateful. It's ridiculous.
I 9/11 was so out of control. I woke up and saw what was going on, and me and my husband looked at each other, and I thought, this must be a bad movie. You know how sometimes you fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, what is this on the TV? I thought it was a movie. This has to be some kind of stupid
Yeah.
movie. And once I realized this is like real life, and then you start doing your reading and you're catching up, and I was like, we didn't know none of this was going on. Like we ain't had no idea. And that was my moment where I was like, I will no longer be ignorant to what is going on in the world that we live in. Okay, I'm saying this to say I said that then, and I've been that way up until this administration. And now I'm like, I'm fine being ignorant. I don't want to know nothing else. Like I'm time out. I don't want to know nothing else. Keep it to yourself. Turn that off. Put on Pandora. Let me dance and clean up because this is too much for me. I have never in my life wanted to be so ignorant in
Yeah.
my life. This
Yeah.
is insane. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
All
I
by
like to read.
design. Yeah. All by design to, it's
I know,
chaos.
which is even worse. I'm
Yeah.
like, just give
Yeah.
in, Tanya. I can't take it no more. Okay, maybe I need to focus. Give me some wine. Hold on. Let me read this. Never mind. Turn
Yeah.
it off. This is ridiculous. Rachel Maddow, shut up. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Let
It
me
is.
go. I'm going outside. I'm gonna go work out. Now I'm pissed off again. Now I'm thinking while I'm working out. Now I'm pissed off. Now I gotta read. Now I gotta catch up. Jennifer, damn, what is a girl to do?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take a breather. I know a lot of people that, I'm on threads with. I'm more on threads these days and LinkedIn. Just taking a break. Everybody's like, it's okay to take a break. Just deep breaths, Deep breaths. I'm very, very fortunate to be married to a very logical, calm human being, and he's got us through COVID miraculously. And I just hope we can do the same again. And I think, spending time with people I care about and I trust and really love very much is what is really important. And I'm even hosting, I'm going to do a spin class for charity because I just want to, give some, donate a little amount that I can to research funding. Because I think if you take actions like that, it makes you feel useful and it gives you purpose. And so if I can just focus on the good, it's not easy. It can be very frustrating and it makes you sad, but we all have children to raise too. And children are watching and they're watching adults and they're watching how we handle ourselves, and nobody's perfect. I'm far from perfect, but I have to make sure that I can get through the day too. And
Jennifer, you're always so level set. When do you let loose? Like, I need to be there in those moments where you just are not. And your husband does not hold your emotions and he just lets them rip. Like, I need that in my life.
I've
Because I
learned.
get
I
mad
was
at my
not
husband
always this
sometimes.
calm. I learned how to be calmer. But it, I think the gym, I think running, really good music, and spin class. A good dark room with really good music and 30, 40 people just.
You don't ever tell your husband, like, okay, yes, I understand that's logical, but I need you to, I've been rage baited and I need you to rage with me. Like,
Yeah.
let's just do that
Yeah,
for a minute and then we
he
can go back to being logical.
right. Well, you don't want me as your emergency room physician, but he's your guy.
I like it.
So
What about you, Tam? When do you lose it? And I know your husband too. He probably be. How does that work? Because I know there are moments where you just be like,
Um, I'm laughing. I'm doubling down on the music. Just doubling down on that. Heavy, heavy. Um, so I would say, at least for the people who like are closest to me, I'm talking like inner circle. We'll use my husband as an example. I have learned to really stay within that safety when I need to rage. Because one of the things, and PR professionals, we know, like sometimes our clients can't handle the rage and not everyone can handle it. So I find the safe people. Tanya, we want to like call them like, what? And I'm just like audioing it and then I'm calm afterward. I just get it out. Um, but what my husband does is, it's taken some time, but he just lets me. My rage actually comes out a lot in tears. So, because for me, I am actually very logical when I'm thinking all the time. So when my emotions hit, it's like I'm just like, I don't understand how this is, like,
a
how are you
thing.
not connecting the dots? Like that's usually what I'm crying about. And then the next layer is like the humanity of it all.
yes.
And so I've had times when, I've heard some news and I'll get on social media like us. We just like the media. We like to see what's going on. And I'll see a comment and I just go into trigger mode. I've had times when I've just cussed. I've just gone in and I'm like, oh gosh, thank God my kids are not here. But like I do it with people who allow me to crumble, and is really what I'm saying. Not everyone, not everyone is that person, and love them for loving when I'm got my life together. But I need people who allow me to crumble, and that's who I kind of keep really close to me because I don't want to be perfect all the time. But other than that, it's music. Recently, it's been my daughter likes uh, cooking, and I historically have not been a person who wants to be in the kitchen. I mean, up to this point, anyone who knows me for my personal brand, it's been like 30 minutes and I'm out. Okay, I don't want to be in there for hours, but I've actually started rediscovering, like tapping more into my Barbadian culture, like starting to like recreate those dishes, like doing it with
Mm.
water, looking at art, like things that I actually did when I was going through my heavy immigration situation. I'm like going back to like, how do I create? How do I create beauty, create art, do things like that. And that's actually been helping. And also to Jennifer's point, I have actually started sharing my story, which was something that I kept really close to my chest. Like again, I crumbled so much over 19 years. I don't even want to talk about it. But by even sharing the story, it kind of pulls everything together where people are like, oh, this is the reality. Because people cannot argue with experience.
Yes.
People will not argue with experience that you've gone through. So even doing that, it's like, I went through this. Here's where I am. You can meet me here, you cannot meet me here, but like, this is not a space to argue or do anything like that. So it's been a multitude of things, but I think it's really I always say it's like a holistic solution. I just keep the people that allow me to crumble because not everyone lets me do that.
Not because I enjoy just pushing back, but I do live
Oh yeah,
around weirdos that will argue with experience and really
they
try to
are. Yeah,
gaslight you and make you feel like your experience is not what it was. So
Yeah.
then
yeah,
there's those individuals,
Yeah.
and that is, I'm feeling like we're in a space right now where sometimes people will tell us that our experience is actually not that significant or not that important, or that's not actually what happened, even though you were there. But I do want to share this
yeah.
just to make sure that we are in the right space, because I think it's important when our guests give us great information that we share it with the people. Is this the right space, Jen?
Yes. Truth in Common. I'm not sure Citizen Connect, that wasn't on. Yeah, it's Truth in Common with the green logo. That is her,
Yeah,
Deanna.
and she's there. So
Yeah.
when I went into Truth in Common, then this is what came up, and I just want to make.
Yeah.
And you can email her even, like she has
Yes.
her information there, and then
Truthincommon.org.
we go to her site. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So that's it.
She would be a good, yeah, Deanna. Yes, she would be a great guest too.
Is that her?
Deanna Troost, yes.
Oh, okay. Hey, girl.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
she'll love
love
it.
that. So
Yeah,
you
she's so good.
guys, great resources. We definitely want to make sure we provide you with opportunities to live and grow better.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. There was a moment where I was doing a back and forth with my brother, my younger brother, because he's enlightened now. And I had to share a few websites where he could actually go validate information before he shares it with me. Because as a PR professional, we hate when people are sharing misinformation or faux information.
Yes.
What other websites would you recommend people use? Do you have any others, either one of you, that
Yeah.
you use to validate information?
Ground News is new, and I think I have to pay for that. So um, I looked on that, and what's neat is they'll show the article, and then they'll say, is it center based, left or right? So that
Oh,
it's really, yeah, really, really good. And there are a couple, and that's another important thing too. For PR people, we do know this, but for the general public, be careful where you get your information. And I think months ago, you and I were going back and forth, Tanya, about critical thinking. Like, you know what? I'm at a point in my life, I'm going to question everything. I'm going to question authority. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to dig deeper and click on links. And I go down so many rabbit holes. I know too much. But I'm also the kind of person that faces the uncomfortable. Several years ago, I would have just let it go. But I think it's important. I think it's critical. You got to look at all sides, even if you don't like the bottom line of it. You know, we need to be open minded and willing to see other sides of things to understand. You know, um,
I
I
think
know.
that's the missing link that people don't understand in regards to diversity and inclusion, because when you don't include all of the people and all of the information, you're not going to get the right answers from your research or your data. When you leave people out, you don't get all the information, you don't get everything you need to come up with solutions for whatever problem that is. It's
Yeah,
in medicine, in education, in society in general. When you leave people out, you're only going to get a partial evaluation
yeah,
and analysis of the information.
yeah. And
Well,
that's, critical thinking. Look deeper, go deep,
yep.
and read.
Yep, and breed. So before we get out of here, Jen, let us know what you have coming up, how we can support you, and how people can stay in touch and follow your journey. Obviously on Threads, but share your handles.
Yeah, I'd say LinkedIn is where I am all the time. LinkedIn and Threads. And it's Jennifer McGinley on LinkedIn. That's the most consistent place. And yeah, I'm networking in the Baltimore area. That's where I'm located. But I've done speaking engagements everywhere. I've had clients all over the country, and anybody that needs help disseminating information or their story or information in a way that is easy for others to understand. I think that's really critical.
Lovely. Yeah. Tam, what do you have going on? What do you have coming up?
Tough questions. Really, the biggest thing I'm doing is just continuing to share my story at this point.
Tell people where they can find it for those that are interested.
Yes. So if you want to actually get the deets on my immigration story, you can go to the Badian Girl on Instagram. That's where it is. It's in the highlight. I am at part 8. It's a long story. But also join my newsletter. I do really tie it into even just personal branding and how you can make sure you're sharing your story and also advancing and promoting yourself in whatever you do. So that would be it. But other than that, I'm gonna get my nails done this weekend. That's simple stuff. We're just micro joys.
Yes, right. And I like rage cleaning too. I forgot to add that in. My husband knows. He's like, wow, the house is really clean and organized. I'll be like, yes, it is. Yes,
I like tipsy rage cleaning.
Oh my God.
That's for another episode, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, okay, let me tell you. First of all, I hate cleaning. So it numbs the effect of why am I cleaning? And then I can just zone out and just do all the things. And then I keep going. It's almost better than the gym because by the time I'm done, I'm sweating and I'm just a whole mess, but the house is clean. It smells good.
Yeah.
Take a shower, go to sleep. Because now
you're
I'm
a busy
tired.
mom. Yeah, you're a very busy mom.
Because now I'm tired. Absolutely. And for me, I'm not sure if you saw, but I actually launched the sports media division of Sand and Shores. It's something I've been working on for a while. There's a whole story behind it. And for those of you that have had the opportunity to check it out, thank you very much. I've received a lot of support. It's been wonderful. But those of you who don't know my story, I come from a family of athletes, and I tried to avoid it for so long because I live in LA and sports and entertainment just drive me nuts because it just does. It's so oversaturated. But my story is a little unique, and I love telling the story behind the story, right? Yeah, there's one thing if you know how we got here, but I like to know how it even happened from there. And connecting people with stories has always been so important to me. So that is what I did over the last week. And that is what I will be pouring a lot of my energy into when I'm not somewhere sipping on red dirt, which is on a baseball or softball field. So if you want any more information about that, y'all know I'm on LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram, Tanya McKenzie PR. And yeah, pretty consistent with that. So we want to thank you, Miss Jennifer, for being here with us. I know you took time out to do this. You have some important clients, a lot of things going on, but I appreciate it. I adore you. I'm lying. I love you.
And I love you both. Yeah, I'm so lucky to know you. And Tanya, you've been special. You're amazing. Don't make me cry.
I've been called a few words not close to that, so I'll take it. Yeah. Yep. I'll take it.
No, you guys are great. I'm so honored to have finally had the opportunity to do this.
We got to do something in person though. So y'all stick around because we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this thing out. No. So thank you guys so much and have an amazing weekend.
Yes. Thank you.